had tacked on at the beginning. First of all, we are adding a tier 2 engine room. And again, all the modifications, or not all, but many modifications are available on that room. So you can make a door, you can make the pipes. And the engine rooms now require fuel, but they do provide more utility than before, and the mechanics have changed. So rather than them just being a constant amount of power, they actually have a wattage that gets consumed as structures nearby are that use power uh, consume that power. So, for example, this you can fuel it just like you fuel a fire pit, and you can see this engine room is producing 3,000 watts of power, right? So it can be used to power your bunker garrisons. And to be clear, your bunker garrisons don't require power to shoot, but if you do power them, they do something cool, right? So power satisfied, they have a light on top now, and the bunker light is an added bonus if you power it. And what it does is it gives the bunker garrison extended sight at nighttime, and it will track any enemies and shoot them at a distance.
It's really fun to be hunted by one of these lights when you're in game. I really like this. Poor Silverhand. Colonial bias.
So another use for the power system is the new observation bunkers, right? So players have been asking this for a very long time. Like, let us build another type of watchtower, right? So this observation bunker here consumes power, but in return, um, the intel radius is much more than a watchtower. And I want to point out as well that you can build. So yeah, you can, as you can see here, it provides much more intel at the cost of power. And on top of that, there is a tier 2 variant as well. And like everything else, going back to that flexibility, you can build modifications on the inside.
No tier 1.
No, and there's one really cool thing that is coming up: the next super weapon of the game.
The next storm cannon.
The next super weapon, but it might not be what you think, right? So
what's coming up, I'm super excited about. Not to hype anyone up.
Yeah, Julian, yeah, stop doing that. Next features. Okay, so the intelligence center, right? So what the structure does is it intercepts enemy intelligence at a distance. So it's not like StarCraft scanner, for those of you who have played that, where you can see, but what it does is it listens to enemy intel sources in an area, and it provides that intel in turn for your own team. And why this is important, besides it being cool, is, well, let's stop here and look at this. So right now, the intelligence center is stealing intel from some watchtowers and observation bunkers that the wardens have made, right? And you can see it flashing. So why this is important is because up till now, the intel game has been nothing but spamming watchtowers. But now you actually have to be careful where, let me pause this. You have to be careful where you put your intel, because there is a downside now. If you just spam them across the entire map, you're giving the enemy free reign to be able to look into your intel network, right? So this might be frustrating for some players, but we feel that the intel game in Foxhole has been long overdue for a little bit more depth, and we think that adding a downside on top of adding a buff with the observation bunkers is going to make the intel game a lot more interesting. And along with this, besides the super weapon version, you can also, as a partisan, put down a listening kit that performs the same function. So you can listen in on enemy intelligence sources if you put down this listening kit, which does require a tripod.
This is my favorite. This is the true super weapon, because You can set them up in a field, set them up in a bush, and get intel from enemy watchtowers and bases.
Yeah, and it's important to note that you will be able to find them. There will be like audio cues and stuff, even if they're hit. This will be like
Yes.
an interesting addition to the game, I feel.
Yep. We wanted to create a new role of spies and info stealing. So if you
Well,
want to if you want to run behind enemy lines and set up a bunch, you're doing a ton of help for your own team.
yeah, I always felt that we want to come back around and do an Intel update, and we haven't done that, but we managed to sort of sneak in a smaller Intel update into this one.
The
Um,
the second gigantic building in the game is a small intel up.